Hey everybody, welcome to PC Perspective. I'm Ryan Shrout, it's Alan Malventano, and today we're going to talk to you about a brand new wheel from Logitech, racing wheel. Works on this one, we're looking at the G29.
Yes, G29.
This works on both the PC and PlayStation 4.
And PlayStation 3.
And PlayStation 3.
Yep.
Okay, interesting to know. They also have another one called the G920 that will be available in a couple more weeks that is PC and Xbox One.
Yes.
I don't know if that's Xbox 360, but we should get that wheel in too to see if there's any differences. But this is kind of, it's been a long time since Logitech has refreshed its wheel product line.
Yeah, G27 came out in 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
So it's been like 6 years, 5 or 6 years
it's been a while
since we've seen a new wheel. So this is the G29. Tell me a little bit about, I guess, kind of what the build quality is, what the specifications are, what you get, what you don't get this time.
So if you are watching this video, you probably might already have a G27 or maybe even a G25.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff is similar. In other words, there's still helical gearing inside there. It's not belt driven.
Okay.
But this is one of the lower cost solutions versus, like, you know, there's Thrustmaster, and then there's like other companies that make really, really high end wheels if you want to spend like $1,000 on a racing wheel.
Gotcha.
Right. Those tend to be belt driven, so you don't end up feeling any of the notchiness in the gearing. It's actually not bad on this one because there are helical gears. So the splines of the gears are actually on an angle so that you don't feel each one engaging that badly.
Okay.
Right. There's two motors in there. They both drive the same main gear that the wheel is connected to. So they probably just couldn't get enough torque out of one motor, so they just added two, right? So the force feedback is definitely, it will give you a workout.
Oh, will?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
if you have a game with the force feedback cranked up all the way and you're, you know, and it's a really high-end race car with, like, you know, real good feedback in the steering wheel, you will feel that.
Huh.
Paddle shifters, that's same as the G27, right? They're definitely like they don't twist or like this, you know.
Yeah, they feel
definitely
solid.
beefy, right?
Yeah.
You do have a switch up here. It's hard to show on the video, but there is a switch on the top that switches back and forth between PS3 and PS4 mode for the wheel.
Okay.
And that's because you don't have any other way to tell the wheel like what you're connecting it to if it's not connected to a PC.
Gotcha.
Because the wheel is just on its own if it's connected to one of those consoles.
Right. It's just got a USB connection.
It's just a USB connection.
That, yeah.
Yep. Once you hook it up to a PC, as long as you have the Logitech gaming software installed, and it has to be the most recent version, which just came out like not too long ago, updated to include both of those wheels. Doesn't really matter what mode you have that switch in. The PC just takes it over and communicates like a totally different way.
Gotcha.
Right. If you try to use it without the gaming software, I don't know why you would, but it would only be recognized in PS3 mode. I just saw that from.
So there's a ton of buttons and switches on there.
Yeah,
I mean, none of them are PS4 specific, but I mean, the fact that they have a PS4 and an Xbox One version tells you that there's differences in how those.
There are some buttons.
But for PC users, which is obviously the majority of who we're talking to here, that can be any of those buttons can be mapped to basically any function.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You get, I think, a total of 25 different buttons on this specific wheel. There are less mappable buttons on the G920.
Right.
Just because I guess the Xbox games just.
This one's unique. It has this kind of like this red dial down here, which is a twist dial, which we think basically emulates the swipe left and right on the touchpad of the PlayStation 4 controller, and then you've got a center select button, which would be just like clicking in that touchpad.
Yep. And these map on PC. These map to, like, each time you click it to the left, it's as if you pushed a button.
Right.
So that's like a map.
So if you were, you know, wanted to cycle through things, you could do that on there. Yeah, so I mean, that makes sense. It's useful, you know, depending on which particular racing game you're playing.
Yeah.
But all the other buttons can just be mapped to any other functionality that you would normally have with a racing wheel, right?
Yep. The other changes they made over the previous models is this is an actual leather-wrapped wheel, not like any kind of imitation stuff. It's actually leather. Like when I opened the box, I definitely got that new car smell out of the box, right? They added a stripe to it, which I'm guessing a lot of rally driving guys wanted to know, because if you're just kind of whipping the wheel around in a rally game, you're watching the screen.
You want to know where center is.
You get out of your periphery, you kind of catch that stripe come across, and that's where you know to kind of grab the wheel back like at center.
Yep.
Right?
What about like attachment to the desk? Easy process.
It looks the same as the prior models. There are these knobs on top that you just kind of push in, and then they pop up.
Yeah.
And then once they have popped up, you can screw and unscrew them, and then you can just kind of like walk them back down so they're out of the way.
Maybe my favorite feature is at the front of it. The back of it looks like a car, like headlights and grille and hood.
Yeah.
You'll never see that when you're actually using the device, because you'll be seeing this side But
it's true. You'll never see it.
It's a neat little touch, if nothing else.
I do like the cable management stuff.
Oh, okay.
So they've put like a wind, like a cord winding hub in here, and then there's channels, and it looks like there's more channels than cables. But if you had everything needed to totally deck this wheel out, all 4 of those grooves would actually be used. So you have
because you have the shifter connection that would have to come in.
You'd have a shifter connection, and there's the power cord that I don't have like sitting right here, but there's a little power brick that comes with it. Cord's longer.
I was gonna say, is the cord good size?
It's plenty long. Yeah. And the cord is also like of decent length to be able to run.
There's a sticker here that says, "Don't let your kids use this wheel."
I guess
no babies can drive this car.
No. Oh, that's sticking your hand through the center.
Oh yeah, that's bad on a force feedback wheel.
And they put that. Well, here's the thing: they put that right next to where the power cord goes in, because if you're holding the wheel and trying to hook up the power cord, and it's already plugged in, then the first thing the wheel does is try to initialize itself by spinning all the way one way and spinning all the way the other way. So if you have your hand hooked through the wheel while you're trying to plug in things.
Babies shouldn't do that either.
Yeah, and yes, little children shouldn't do that.
So that's the kind of the wheel setup. We've got the pedal setup as well.
Pedals are good. The feel is definitely like they're different spring rates for everything. There's kind of a ramp up for the brake. Feels very much like the brake pedal of a car.
Yep.
Clutch feels very much like a kind of a clutch spring rate. I know with the G27, there were like aftermarket upgrade kits for different springs to like make it feel more authentic, and I think that they just are doing that here. Like I don't think there would be a need for that, because it feels very similar to regular car spring rates. There's also this spiffy thing on the bottom of this pedal assembly. I'm not sure if this was in the previous ones, but so there's rubber feet if you have like a tile floor, and that's kind of like grippy rubber. But then if you have carpet, there's a thing that pops up and it has like a bunch of little teeth on it. I could see
Don't rub your hand on all that.
I could see why you'd want that hidden when not in use, because that might mess you up. But yeah, there is just a row of teeth.
There are some things on the wheel that can hurt you, is what I'm getting from this review. So far.
This is this is
serious
heavy stuff.
So now this does not come with a shifter. This doesn't, which is a little bit disappointing.
And the G27 did. It seemed like the shifter things in the Logitech, I don't know why, but they seem to have gone like the opposite way you might expect. So the G25 came with a shifter that you can switch back and forth between sequential mode, like where it's actually just up and down and spring loaded, spring return, or like a regular gated shifter. And then that went away for the G27.
Where they had just a regular shifter?
Where they had a regular H pattern kind of shifter, right? And now they've done away with that. And you have to buy it separately, and I think it's $60.
$60. $60 on top of it, which is, and to be honest, this kit is already pretty expensive at $399.
Yeah.
Which is about $100 more or so than the current selling price of the G27. I don't really remember what the G27 launched at.
It launched at $300. It's going for like $250 now.
Yeah, I saw it on Amazon. It was like $275 or something today.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a more expensive product.
Yeah. It is an actual leather-wrapped wheel that is different.
Yeah.
There's ball bearings on the shaft here, which I think they were just sleeve bearings on the G27.
Okay.
So that means that over time you're not going to wear down the surfaces, right? It's just if it's on ball bearings.
Yeah. We didn't get the shifter in yet. Hopefully we'll get one of those in when we get the 920. We can kind of see if there's any changes there.
That's supposed to also be a leather wrapped part to match the wheel, which was, again, G27 was not leather wrapped. Parts. It was probably
now,
like
is the shifter, does it have the option to change between sequential and H pattern, or is it just still H pattern?
Just a regular shifter. Although there are, if you dig around online, there are people that have done like hacks involving rubber bands and like extra bushings to make the G27 shifter into a sequential shifter. It's not that hard, apparently.
If there's any PC gaming group that I think would do that type of stuff, it would be the racing guys.
Yes.
Yeah, that would definitely do that.
Yeah.
So you played around with this for a good while.
Yeah.
Any issues with like retention to the desk or retention to the floor? I think with those teeth, probably not on carpet.
We have
like a really tight Berber
we have short
carpet.
hoop kind of carpet. I don't think that would be. It wasn't an issue with this. Like once it goes and it grips in the carpet, like the teeth are pointed in a way where the harder you push on the pedal, the more it grabs, right? But if you have like really kind of deep, shaggy kind of carpet, it might not be able to grip.
Okay.
I'd imagine you can get creative and just kind of put something else behind it just to prop up against it in the back or something like that.
I think that's an issue that any wheel set with
anything is going to notice. I did manage to pull the wheel away from the desk a couple times. I kind of wish they'd put like rubber, because this is like a really hard rubber attachment. It's almost more plasticky than it is rubber. and where it goes up against is there's not really any rubber feet on that flat surface that sits on the desk.
So something else to put there.
I just wish there was something. You could just as easily, same kind of thing. You're getting creative, trying to just mount something, big physical thing to your desk.
Yeah.
But I would just put like one of those rubberized, like even a thin mouse pad would just add something, right? Just to kind of like give it a little more. Or you can really, really crank down on the clamps. But I was, if I could go that hard, I would be afraid I was going to break them.
Also, I don't know if, for me, as somebody who is not very familiar with wheel technology, like it was a big deal that this was a 900-degree.
Yeah. So this, I mean,
I just rotated all the way around 2.5 times. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, that's a thing. Yeah.
It's just like a car.
Okay.
Right. It goes.
So it's not one of those cheaper ones that maybe stops halfway. Like there.
Oh, less than halfway. Like the cheap ones are just like basically doing that with your arms, and you've already gone full. So you have to get used to that, right? Because in a driving game, if you just do the usual, like you think you're turned to max, just like this, you're not. Like you've got another like turn to go. So you actually have to do the same move you do in your car.
So you played some Dirt Rally, you played some Project Cars. Overall kind of experience with it was pretty good.
I just like that when you drive the different cars, especially in Project Cars, when you drive the different cars, it is very much like you notice the behavior of the car is different.
Through the force feedback.
Through the force feedback, just through, not just that, but just dynamic, like as you're going over like a bump in the game, or just as those things change, you can tell like immediately like, oh, this is a different car. Like, if you were really good, you could probably just tell what car you were driving just from the way the force feedback feels.
The experience difference of playing a car game with a joystick
with the joystick or
versus this is a world apart.
It's not even comparable.
It's an expensive upgrade for a PC, right? But if you're like Josh, you definitely need to invest in this type of stuff because you are heavily invested in racing games. But even for somebody like me who, I'll play them every once in a while. I want to make sure we have the right hardware here so that when we do those game streams and stuff that we have the right stuff like this. It just seemed to me a much more fun thing than just kind of moving a thumbstick around. And that goes for, console gamers as well. If you have a PS4, this will work for you. You have different complications of how you mount it, right? Because you're usually in your living room and coffee tables versus actual tables. Like if you're at a PC and you're sitting at a desk, this is the right placement for it and everything. You actually were playing it on that 40-inch 4K screen,
which
that was a pretty cool experience as well.
Yeah, because like we said when we reviewed that Seiki panel, like just gaming in general on that is it kind of really gets rid of the borders.
Right.
Like 40 inches out is to the point where you really just don't even notice the edge of the screen, right?
Unrelated to the exact part of that we're talking about here, but still like the overall experience is pretty impressive with this. So this is the Logitech G29.
Yes.
It is a $399 MSRP. That's more expensive than we would like it to be.
It is.
Especially considering it doesn't come with the shifter.
Yeah, I feel like it should come with the shifter at that price.
Yeah, I agree. They did some changes to it, right? It's not exactly a duplicate of what the G27 was.
Right.
But price difference, maybe we'll see it come down a little bit. Maybe they'll do some bundles and they'll include a shifter or something.
Yeah, I have a feeling the G920, once it does come out, like it's supposed to not due for another week or something like that. I think, just as a hunch, I think that wheel might come down in price sooner because it has less buttons. PC people might be going after that one because they just see, more buttons, like a megapixel race, right? Like, this one has more buttons, which is true, but I couldn't map all of those buttons to all the stuff, even in Project Cars. Like, there's more buttons than you have. And Project Cars has all sorts of things to map stuff to, so, yeah.
So keep that in mind. Make sure you go to PCPro.com. We'll have a link to Alan's full story on this. It'll have all the pictures and stuff as well of him using the device and what we think about it. Check that out. We'll include it there. And I guess that's it. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks.
Thanks.